So every week I have weekly coaching on Tuesday nights at 8:30. And last night I got a question about God. And the question was, part of the teaching of Healed Mind Therapy is that we are not separate from God. And the question was, if we're not separate from God, then are we God? And the answer is yes and no. And the reason why it's no is because you're not the all, right? But you are part of the all. And that is why you're, as an emanation of what God is, made in the same image as him, or that God breathed into you, what its essence is, you're not separate from God. The mystical path is the path of finding divinity within. So instead of seeking in a church or from a priest or outside of you, we actually find the truth through meditation, contemplative prayer, sitting in stillness. Be still and know that I am God, would be an example of that. And then taking the truth that you find within you and then reading the scriptures. And that was how you're actually going to be able to see the truth in a way that many people that study scriptures are not capable of. So it's first about finding God within you and knowing what God energy feels like. And God energy feels like perfect love, perfect peace. There's no fear, there's no judgment, there's no condemnation. So the ideas we had when we were children about this man on a cloud judging us, that's not real. The reality is God is but love, and therefore so are you. And that's your true nature. And when we step into that true nature, like Jesus did, or some of the prophets, or the Buddha, and we truly embody the Christ energy, which is perfect love, perfect compassion, most mercifulness. When we do that, we are emanating God's love in the world, and we are an extension of God right here, right now. And this is also how we experience heaven on earth. The other piece is that Christ consciousness is discerning. So Jesus will come again to judge the living and the dead, or Jesus Christ, we'll say Christ will come again to judge the living and the dead. What that means, and he comes on a cloud, so it's a higher vibrational state than most of humanity is used to experience. Most people don't hang out on clouds, but when you achieve the mind that was in Jesus Christ, or you experience the mind that was in Jesus Christ, you're able to understand what that means. And that means an elevated state of being where other people are getting triggered and you're having perfect peace. Now, the mind that when Christ comes again, this is the discernment between the living and the dead. So part of having Christ's mind is not having attack, not having judgment in the sense of like, that's bad, that's good, but being able to discern between thoughts that are true and thoughts that are dead, or thoughts that are love and thoughts that are fear. And when we have the ability to discern within our mind of what is true and what is not, this is how we have the undoing. And this is essential in order for us to raise our consciousness to be able to embody the Christ mind. So part of the Christ mind is the undoing of the thoughts that are not true and healing the perceptions that cause us suffering, that cause us to feel separate, that want us to attack ourselves or want us to attack others. And that's the whole point of the coming again. When I was a child, this is a beautiful story. I had a very close relationship with my grandma, and she is Roman Catholic, and I'm Roman Catholic. And she would say to me, someday we're going to go to heaven, body and soul. And she believed this with all her heart, and she would teach it to me, and I would write her letters saying, oh, someday we're going to go to heaven, body and soul. And then when I experienced when I experienced what that meant, I realized my grandma did not understand. Bless her heart. But what it means is when you embody what heaven is. So Jesus said that heaven is not found outside of you. It's actually, the kingdom of heaven is found within you. And when you shift to the mind that knows perfect love, when you embody the mind that was also in Jesus Christ, you know heaven. And heaven is a state of oneness. And so then to experience heaven within the body, which is the earth, you go to heaven, body and soul. So not just your soul's in heaven, but also you can experience heaven within the body, where many people have the experience of not being able to tap into heaven very easily while they're in a body. But then when we're disembodied, that becomes a little easier for our soul, because we're not bound by human limitation, perception, and attachments. So that's what the meaning of the embodiment. And you might have the thought, well, how do you know this, Amanda? Because it's experiential knowledge. When you experience the truth and then you read scripture, and then you can translate the symbolism and the allegory to understand what it actually means. Unfortunately, until you have gone within and found truth within, or found the kingdom of heaven within you, you're not really able to truly grasp the esoteric or the underlying meaning of the scriptures. Although, the exoteric version is still important, the idea of do unto others as you have them to do with you, and do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, is absolutely helpful and a great guidance. But at a deeper level, as you do to others, you do to yourself. As you do to others, you do to God. As you do to others, you do to Jesus. All of those are also true as well. And that is my little tidbit for today. Have a blessed, happy, and joyful day full of love. Another reason why I was able to access this knowledge, or at least to formulate in my head, so I accessed it within me and then I was able to formulate in my head, is because I studied multiple religions. So when you read the Bible and then you read the Quran, it's like the Quran gives you the answers to the Bible and the Bible gives you the answers to the Quran. So you can understand it on a deeper level. And, killing the disbeliever within you is the same thing as Jesus coming again to judge the living and the dead. And that's the whole point. You're here to undo the parts of you that are not real, to remember your truth as an emanation of what God is, of perfect love, of perfect peace, the most merciful. So being able to, if you are of, Christian faith and you have a kind of mystical space where you're finding Christ within, or you're experience yourself as one with the Father or one with God through having revelation or mystical experiences in meditation, I highly recommend you read the Quran. It's a beautiful book. There's no evil in it. There's no contradictions in it. And it even says that if you see evil, you've misread it. And it's a book that speaks perfect love, just like Jesus did. There are barriers to be able to access higher levels of consciousness, and that is fear. That is the number one thing. Fear is the devil. Fear is the guardian of the doorway, of the passageway. When we hold back, or we have this idea in our head, I already know what's true because some book or some pastor or some, a mom told me that this is what is reality, and if I don't believe this, I'm going to go to hell, and I'm so afraid. And we stop seeking. So we stop looking, we stop knocking, we stop looking and opening our mind to other ideas or possibilities. That's the barrier. It's cool. In the Quran, it actually tells you have to study all 5 religions, including, honoring those that awoken under on the mountain and under the fig tree and under the olive tree. What is that? Moses, Jesus, and Buddha are all essential to understanding the Quran. But when we hold this idea that, because it's of another religion, it can't be true, because I was conditioned in my childhood to believe that this is the one true religion. When we let go of that, you actually can find the one true religion, and there's only one, and that truth is love. It's love. It's raising vibration. It's being perfect love in the world. It's the mind that's compassionate and merciful and still has boundaries. It doesn't self-sacrifice, doesn't overgive, but guilt and shame and self-attack is not part of that mind. And unfortunately, because everyone's got good intentions, but because of the distortions of those that created our religious institutions, fear seeped into the teachings, even though the teachings of origin were perfect love. So if you want to explore further, if you want to be able to access this kind of mind that I'm speaking of, it's openness. It's openness and releasing fear, or the idea that what is true. one of the first things I had to do on my spiritual journey after I left Catholicism, to be able to actually return to Catholicism, is I had to have an undoing of my faith. And what that looked like is going within and saying, okay, I'm going to say that nothing, I don't know anything, because there's things that are happening in the church that I was like, this is not in alignment with Jesus. This is not what he taught. So then I was like, well, what's true and what's not? So I let all of it go. And then I said, okay, what's true? And I looked within, and within my heart, I knew God was true and God was love. And I just started there. And that's what led me down the path, keeping the open mind towards love. And then the discernment, the Holy Spirit or higher consciousness or the prophet, whatever words you use for discernment, is between love and fear. If it feels like love and this is how you'd want to be treated, then that's an alignment. Would you want people to allow you to murder you and not murder other people and not put you in jail? Absolutely not. So jail can be an act of love. That doesn't mean that we don't have boundaries. It just means we don't attack people for what is their best. So opening your mind, releasing fear, trusting in your innate knowing, because if God is real and you are an emanation of it, the knowing of what you are lives within you. And you can find it. Just knock and the door will open. Seek and you will find. But first we have to release fear, because that is the barrier to finding peace. And knowing God, not just believing in him, but knowing God, you have to remove fear.